everybody. Today I'm going to be covering the quotient rule, which is a topic in calculus AB and BC. So if you're taking any of those classes, this may be helpful to you. This is a topic in differential calculus. I may cover the one in integral calculus some other time, assuming that I even remember it or know it at all. But either way, let's get right into this. And so I have a little function here, and it's so it's f of x is equal to 5x over e to the x. And what we're going to do is you can see that it's one function being divided by another. So far we haven't really found a way to deal with this yet. And in here you can see you could treat this as a product rule, where maybe you could do 5x, where maybe you could treat it as 5x times 1 over e to the x. You could treat it like this, maybe e to the minus x. Maybe that might even be more efficient simply for this case, but I do want to show you the quotient rule as it does have some uses. Maybe not particularly for this one, but if your teacher perhaps maybe asks you like, hey, solve it with the quotient rule, then this might be a good opportunity to learn this quotient rule. So let me show you the formula for it. And so let's say we have another function f. I don't want to use f. Let's use g. We're going to do g of x is equal to h of x, and we're pretty much just rewriting this in terms of some other functions, kind of just labeling it h of x, k of x. And I'm not deriving a formula, by the way. If you do want to see a derivation for the quotient rule, I'd suggest you check it out on like Khan Academy. Maybe, I believe that he might have something on that, or usually calculus textbooks tend to have something like this, so maybe your school's textbook has one. And usually though, but you typically won't need to know how to derive a formula. I've never seen that on either calculus exam, and I've taken both AB and BC, so typically not there. So what if I wanted to take g prime of x? So what we would do in this case is quotient rule. So we're going to have this big division symbol, and you're going to have something on top, something on bottom. I'm going to show you what's on top and what's on bottom. So usually your teacher might start off with the top, but I'm actually going to start off with the bottom because it's smaller and it doesn't take as long to write, and it's actually just going to be k. Messed it up. Alright, sorry guys. And we're going to have k of x, and this whole thing is going to be squared. So on the bottom, it's just going to be k of x squared, and it's not the derivative of k of x, just k of x. So not k prime, k of x. On here, we're going to have a minus sign, and on either side, they need to be in this specific order, since you can't just like rotate the minus sign. And so it's going to be h prime of x, so the top one. And since this is such a big formula, some people find out like acronyms and other forms of memorizing this, but I typically just find it easier to just remember that the top one goes first, bottom one goes second, in terms of who you take the derivative of. So it's just going to be h prime of x, k prime of x, and then you're going to have k of x. So very similar to the product rule, except obviously you have a minus in the middle, and you have to actually keep in mind as to what the sides are. And then you also need to remember the k of x squared at the bottom. So in this case, let's go to f prime of x over here to our original problem. Now that I gave you the formula, this should be a cinch to solve. And I'm going to solve it right here, and I'm just going to give you a second to pause in case you want to try to solve it on your own. Assuming you've given a go at it, we're going to have k of x squared, and I'm going to do that first. So we're going to have e of x squared. Now you could simplify it, but I'm not going to simplify it. I explained this in the product rule video, which I made earlier. In that video, I talked about how simplifying isn't really necessary on the calculus exam. In some cases, let's say you're solving for an actual value. Let's say they actually ask you to find like f prime of 5. Then it might be a bit easier then you'd actually have to simplify it. You won't have to simplify it, but sometimes you might need to simplify it to make it a bit easier to calculate. So here we're going to have k prime of x. So, no, we're going to do this side first, sorry. So h prime of x is just going to be 5. K prime of x is just going to be e to the x. So you have something simple here, 5 times e to the x. You're going to have k prime of x, which is just e to the x. And the reason being is that the derivative of e to the x is just e to the x. And this is just one derivative that's just kind of like this. And it's pretty convenient. It comes up in a lot of cases, and yeah, so it's especially helpful in Euler's method, which is just what happens, which is just what e of e happens to be named after. Just thought I should mention that. It's a small thing though. So we have h of x over here, and that's just going to be 5x. And so you could maybe factor out the 5e e to the x, and then you'd get something like 1 over x. And I'm simplifying it because sometimes you will need to simplify it. Though in most cases, you should be aware whether you actually need to simplify it or not. I'd say that's the best policy that you could take. And okay, so we have, and if you want, you can put this as e to the power of 2x. And so you can cross this out, and you'll have e to the x over here. So you can get 5 times 1 minus x over e to the x, and that's f prime of x. I hope this helped in understanding what the quotient rule is. I gave a pretty basic example here. Usually on the calculus exam or something that your teacher might give, it'll be a bit tougher, but hopefully this was a good introduction, and this can help you in whatever you're doing. If this video did help you, please be sure to subscribe and leave a like on the video. Leave any comments as to what you'd like to see next, and leave me any feedback if you thought something was good about this, or if you think something should be improved. Otherwise, thanks for watching, guys.